So today's topic is about landing pages and what is a landing page. It's an introductory session, so if you know about landing pages already, you're probably not going to gain much from it, but I'm happy to always have other people put their input in of what you know that I don't know, because there's plenty that I don't know. But otherwise I'm going to share with you a little bit about landing pages, why you would have one, how you would structure one, what you use them for. Now, the content of this slide deck is actually not my own. Very fortunate when someone asked me last week, or maybe the week before, about doing landing pages, and I thought, oh, I don't have a presentation for that. The guys at HubSpot have an open source presentation that I've just been able to modify a little bit. I've taken out a bit of the content of it, but yeah, HubSpot have lots of free information, lots of resources. So today we're going to look at three things. So what are landing pages and why would you need them on your website? How do you make a landing page with your ideal buyer in mind? So we are looking to make sales through a landing page, or eventually, not necessarily directly, but how do you also make landing pages that work for you as well? So for you and your business, so for your customer and also for you. So this little process, as I mentioned, these slides are courtesy of HubSpot primarily, and this is one of their little processes that they have on their what's called inbound methodology. So in this case, we're looking at customers coming to us as opposed to us going out to a customer. So we're looking at how do we attract people to become our customers and ultimately advocates for our business that would refer other people. So generally our customers are strangers initially. They then become visitors, someone that comes to us. We then want to convert them or find out if there's someone that we need to convert into a lead, so someone who will potentially buy from us, and then actually make them into a customer, so someone who does buy from us, and then we want them to be that advocate, so the person who then refers us to other people and or potentially comes back and buys from us again, depending on what we do. So in this particular process, we're looking more at the connection part. So where the attraction part is there as well, but it's when we've attracted somebody, they become a visitor. How do we get them to be a lead and then ultimately a customer? So we're looking at that sort of connect piece in the middle. So what are landing pages and why you need them on your website? So a landing page is a page on your website that's specifically designed to convert convert visitors into leads. So when someone comes to your site, you can gather some information from them so that you know who they are, a little bit about them, how you might reconnect with them, and whether they're actually likely to become your customer or not, because not everybody who comes to our website is ever going to be our customer. So we want to work out different ways to do that. So when we go through, we'll look at a few different ways, but common ways are providing them with an offer of some sort. And that might be, we commonly see ebooks, videos, information, access to another layer of what we do. So maybe we have a course or a workshop or something like that they could subscribe to then find out more about what we do and then ultimately become our customer. So with our landing page, we do want to make sure that it's actually designed to convert. We don't want someone to just come and then not know what to do next. It has to actually be designed to convert them from being just a stranger into someone that we know a little bit about. Is a little example of what a landing page might look like. Now this is pretty basic. It's suggesting that there is a software buying guide available. You could download it. It gives you a bit of information and then it asks for some information from you to then be able to download that guide. Okay, so it could be an ebook, could be a video, anything like that. It generally has that sort of flow. So there's some information, but there's also some action required by the person who's there to then get what they want. But in exchange, you get what you want, which is their contact details. There has to be something that attracts them to the landing page in the first instance. So often that will be a campaign, maybe a post on Facebook. It could be a paid or not paid campaign. It could be a blog article that you might have written. It has a link in it to click to, do something such as download an ebook. So it's kind of that second place. So there's something that attracts them in the first instance, and this is the second place that they see us. Usually people wouldn't necessarily find this first before anything else. They've seen something else and then they've done something to land here. On your website, you can create pages, most websites, but let's assume if you've got something like WordPress or Wix, you can create multiple pages. The page itself has its own unique address. If you don't put that address as a link on any other page of your website, people generally can't find it. It's just sitting there. It's still live, but you've not made it visible. It's not in a menu. It's not a link anywhere. It's just a page of your site that's hidden behind. Until you link it somewhere. Yeah, and that link, so that URL, the address of that particular page, is what you would put in, let's say, your blog. As you put a word, you learn more, download this ebook, whatever, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but you'd put that link to that page wherever you want it out in, you know, the interwebs, so that when they click there, they're directed here, as opposed to maybe your homepage of your website, which isn't telling them exactly what they wanted to know. And often we find that we'll click on a link of something and it'll take us to somebody's website, but you can't even find what it was that you were looking for. And it's really annoying. Like, we all find it really annoying. Having it land in the right place, still on your website, yep, it's still within your confines of your website, what you control, but it's not, yeah, it's not sort of general, it's really specific to what they clicked on. Just a little statement that landing pages are your digital sales representatives. You know, if somebody walked into a shop and they wandered in because they saw the sign out the front that said all glassware 50% off today, and they walk in the door of the store, you would want a salesperson to greet them. And if they said, I was interested in the glassware that's on sale, that person would direct you to that if it wasn't obvious. So this is what your landing page is doing. It's actually answering the questions that someone might have because they were interested in something, and providing that information and instructing them on what the next step is. So if I walked into the store and I was interested in the glassware and someone directed me to it, I would expect that they'd probably stick around and answer any questions that I have. And then if I said, I want to buy this, they'd say, yep, sure, come over here and we can do that. Your landing page basically has to be all of that, okay, in a digital format. So the other thing is it's gathering information for marketing and sales purposes. So when someone comes to our website, we want to learn a bit about them. So we're going to ask them a few questions and get them to interact with us in some way to then be able to fulfill what they want and give them that next step of information or that next action that's required. But we do want to make sure we're learning from them. Now, we do have the good fortune that with modern technology, someone could come to our website, land on a page, not do anything and leave, and we can still know who they are in terms of what their IP address is. We don't know their name, what they like, what they're interested in, whether they meant to go there, whether it was an accident. You know, sometimes you're scrolling through Facebook and you accidentally press too hard on somebody's ad and all of a sudden you've got this page open, but you were never interested. That happens as well. But obviously, because you've gone there, they now have your IP address, and you probably find that those ads now keep coming up because they thought you were interested. So we can do that as well. But whilst that's part of what our marketing process can be, we want to make sure that if someone is actually interested, that we're gathering the right information so we can have a good conversation with them that's meaningful and targeted for them. So how do the landing pages technically work? So the form, whatever it is that you have on your landing page to collect data, needs to go into a system that you can then access. And that can be done through a variety of ways. Now, as I said, HubSpot have provided the content of these slides, so all of them refer to HubSpot. So if you were using their system, your page that you would reference would look like the one on the right. But if you were using, say, Mailchimp or even your own website, you might have a contact form within your own website that might, there's a whole host of different ways you can do it. But what you want is that information that they type in to then collect somewhere. And you know, a spreadsheet or this is a customer relationship management tool. HubSpot has a CRM. Yeah, Mailchimp is another one that's very popular. It's free for up to 2,000 contacts in your list. So, you know, if you're getting up towards 2,000, you're probably then deciding that you might be happy to pay for another platform. Up until there, it's totally free and has landing pages actually as a section within it, which helps you design your page, what it should look like and what it should have. So if you don't use Mailchimp, so mailchimp.com, I would recommend that you check that one out as well. HubSpot is free to a certain extent and then has a paid version as well. So we want to collect that information. We also want to make sure that we're only collecting information that's actually relevant to what we need to know. So in this one, it's saying, you know, first name, last name, and organisation and email address. But if the organisation is not relevant for you, don't ask. It's another thing for someone to fill in. Similarly, don't ask for your male or female, what's your date of birth, what's your address, unless you need to know. So if you're going to be offering them a free sample of your physical product and you've got to post it to them, well, yes, you need their address, but you don't necessarily need their date of birth or anything else. So just contain it to what you actually need to know. It reduces the barriers when someone's filling in a form. If we've got 15 things to fill in, we're probably likely to get tired after about 5 and give up unless we really, really want it. So yeah, the fewer the better. All right, so all leads are not the same. So when somebody comes to your site and they've clicked on something that they might be interested in, and in this case, we've just got M&Ms there because, you know, I like chocolate. I might have seen an ad for M&Ms and I've clicked on it, but just because I clicked on it, it hasn't actually told me yet, what do I want? Do I want the little mini ones? Do I want the regular ones? Do I want a really big bag? Do I want the ones with peanuts or mixed? Or, you know, at this stage, we don't know. We just know that I feel like chocolate, some bit of sugar. So yeah, they're not all the same. And anyone who clicks on that may have a different perception as to what they're going to get at the end as well. So the clearer we can be, the better. But we also need to understand that if we are just doing a promotion on the large bag of peanut M&Ms and somebody clicks on our little ad in Facebook or our post in Facebook and comes through, that our campaign is actually, our campaign is about the peanut M&Ms, but they are allergic to peanuts, you know, and our first little thing that we clicked on maybe was just about M&Ms in general. When they get there and it's all about peanut ones, they might go, nah, I'm out. Like, you know, I'm not interested. So we have to understand that sometimes we're going to lose customers along the way, and that's okay. We don't get stressed about that. People will come and bounce off your page, and that's okay. But what we might learn from that is that if we make our first ad a little bit more specific, then we might only attract more relevant people. But having said that, it might also exclude people that could be interested in something else that we offer. And that first level of interaction may be enough to actually go, oh, well, really, you know, I could just find something else here that I like. Even though I don't like peanut ones, I like something else. And I might look around while I'm there, where if we exclude them at the very first point, we've lost them already. So we want to understand their buying process as well. So when somebody's looking for something online, we know that we research a lot now online. So we will go onto the internet and search for information before we have any intention of making a purchase. We also then want to make sure that we can establish what those buying criteria are for our customer. So they might be looking for a solution somewhat like ours. Our solution may or may not suit, okay? So that's okay, but we're establishing what's the criteria of that customer, what are they actually looking for as much as we can, and starting to understand that. And we also need to understand that the person who's coming is also evaluating us as a vendor. So we're providing a service or a product, and they're going to look at their options of that. So they'll research to find a solution. They'll then decide how they want to interact and potentially buy, but then they'll also decide who do they want to buy from, because they're not just likely to look for one. They'll probably look at a few different options and see. When they're ready to buy, then hopefully they'll come back to us. So we want to make that process as simple as possible. And the more we can engage them in the early stages and make them feel, you know, that we're interested in who they are, we want to try and help them, those types of things, the more likely they are to come back and engage with us proactively as well. So they're doing that evaluation process as part of their buying process. about 80-ish% of your visitors to websites are purely looking for information. They're just doing their research online. Okay, so that's about 70 to 90, but about 80% of people, when they go onto the internet, they're looking for information. They've got no intention of buying at that point in time. So of those, yeah, they've got a reason for going though. Okay, so they have a problem, a job to do, something in mind where that's why they're looking for information. When we are sort of browsing, I guess, just out there with nothing better to do, or we've allowed ourselves to be distracted, that actually, according to the statistics, makes up the other sort of 10 to 30% of the time when we're online. So we're looking at stuff, but we're not actually interested. We're not trying to find a solution. We're just killing time, wasting time, whatever we're doing with the rest of the time. But a lot of the time we're actually online looking for information and looking to find a solution to whatever issue we have or whatever we're trying to do. When we're looking for information and performing that research, things that can help our customers or us, things like white papers, so information like a document, guides and tips, ebooks, checklists, videos, sometimes like how-to videos. And I know I had to fix our 3D printer the other day, and I quickly looked for how do I clean the printer, clear the nozzle of the printer. And I wanted a video to show me how to do that. Kits, so combinations. So there might be a video that you can download, but it comes with a checklist that you can print out as well. When we're in the process of deciding who we're going to buy from, not so much who, but what we want to buy, we're then usually looking for a bit more depth to that. So we want the information, that's fine, but we want a bit more interaction. So something like a webinar, so you might be able to dial in or join in. A case study, so where you can read about an actual example, a free sample where you can try something and actually test it out, specifications, or a catalogue, so where you've got a whole range of choices with prices and you can start to see a little bit more. So that comes into that buying criteria stage. Then when we're evaluating vendors, free trials, and this can also be an extension of the sample, but where we can actually give it a go, we can do it. Where we might attend a demonstration, have a free consultation, so actually be able to talk to somebody. And that can be in typing or actually speaking now. So online chats are sometimes that opportunity to engage with somebody and see how they react and interact with us. And getting a quote or an estimate or an actual coupon can sometimes be enough for people to go, yep, I'll go there because they gave me something. They gave me a discount or whatever. So those are the types of things that we can think about when we're creating our own landing pages as to what stage is our customer likely to be at based on how they've got to us. So what we're sort of offering at the beginning, they've come to us, what are we now going to actually offer them in exchange for their information? And depending on what level they're at, it could be any or all of those or a combination of them even, or they may go through a couple of stages. So you might offer them something like information or a checklist to start with, and then you might follow that up with the offer for a free consultation. Okay, so that could be the way that you stage it. We want to make sure though that whilst our landing page is that digital sales rep, it is designed to convert that visitor into a lead. We really do want that conversion process. If you just let them come and learn something and then go away, you've lost that opportunity to follow up with them. So we have to make sure that conversion part is part of our landing page. When it comes to how many, it's one of those things that it's like how long is a piece of string, but around about a 5% conversion rate is kind of the norm, okay? So if you get 100 people react to your whatever you put out and come to your landing page, we want about 5 out of every 100, give or take, to convert. If you can be doing that, you're pretty much on par with what's considered to be acceptable. So don't be disappointed if the first 50 people who come don't do anything, okay? You would hope maybe that on the law of averages that maybe if you get 20 to 1, 50 to 2, that sort of thing, sometimes it'll work that way. If you find that, your first 50 or 80 visitors come and go and don't do anything, then perhaps just revisit what you've done, how you've worded it, tweak it a little bit. The other thing you can do, and I don't sort of go into this too much, but is you can do a thing called A/B testing. So you might have an advertisement for, so let's just say it's sunglasses, and you've got an ad in Facebook and it's talking about the benefit of wearing sunglasses or something, clicking for more information or for a special offer. They land on the landing page. You could have one landing page that has a picture of some beautiful sunglasses, maybe somebody wearing them, a bit all about why they're good sunglasses, and, you know, click here to get an information sheet about checking your eyes or something like that. So if that's what that link was landing on, the other thing you could do is basically take that same landing page and replicate it, but instead of having the text written with an image, you could have it as a video. So you could actually have a video of the person wearing the sunglasses with some audio over the top saying the same thing as what was written on the page, but the person coming there doesn't have to read it. They can hear it and they can see it in action, and then you can compare. So you can put out that same advertisement basically in two different audiences, or even into the same audience but slightly different, with the link on one of them going to the static page and the link on the other one going to the video page, and then compare the results of the two. Which one gives you a better conversion rate where people are putting in their information and their details.
So the initial ad is still the same. So
initial ad
stays the same, just like
yeah. Or you could be A/B testing your Facebook ad as well. So you could have a Facebook ad that's a video and a Facebook ad that's a still image. So you can play it around kind of either way. But yeah, one way to test your landing page is to have the same Facebook ad twice, same ad. The link comes through though to two different pages, and then see which one responds.
So the term convert means simply getting information about them.
In this case, yeah. So in a sales funnel process, and we won't go through that too much today, but in a sales funnel, you want people to move from one stage of your funnel to the next. So from an awareness stage to an interest stage to a decision to being a customer to paying. So you want to capture as many people as you can to start with. So if you're putting something out on Facebook or you're writing a blog post or something like that, you want to get that out to as many people as you can, knowing that only some of those will take whatever action you put on there to come to the next stage. At that next stage is where they're actually then really expressing an interest to make a decision, and this is that level. Are they prepared to give you their information for whatever you're offering to express that they're interested? And of course, we all know when we give someone our email address, we're likely to get emails from them. So are they prepared to do that with what you're offering? But that's what we want to convert, is from one layer to the next layer. And then we'll have another process to convert from that layer to that layer. Okay, but this one is just the first step. All right, so 5% is good. Okay, there's about 80% of people are online looking for information. About 16% are looking to buy, and then they reckon about 4%, 16% are making their decision, and then about 4% are ready to buy. So they're actually looking to go, who am I going to go with? I'm ready to buy something. Who can provide that for me? So if you had 100 people come to your site, you might think that at this point, okay, they're already looking, that about 80 of them probably are not going to do anything. Okay, about 16 of them may sort of be in that in-between stage, almost ready but not quite, and then 4 or so out of that 100 might actually go, yep, I'm ready to make that leap. Now, some people will give you information at any of those stages, and others will only give you the information when they actually have decided, okay? And that's where we get about 5 out of 100 are probably likely to give you their information, because we're more likely to be at this end. But the other thing is that only half of those people are actually, you know, they're qualified, if that makes sense, but not yet ready to buy. So where they've taken that step, they are probably a legitimate person looking for the solution that you offer, but they're not actually ready yet, okay? So sometimes we'll look for information and we'll make a decision and we'll act all in that one moment if we're ready to buy, but otherwise we won't. We'll look and look and look and look and look and look, and then maybe we'll decide we're ready to buy. And it could depend on a whole host of reasons. 1, we may or may not have the money. 2, we may or may not need it yet. We just might be curious but not decided as well. There's lots of reasons, but out of your 100 people, say, you might only expect 2 of them would actually then go through. So 5 might be interested and engage with you, but 2 of those might actually end up buying from you in that process flow.
So it's not of that 5% that gave you the information.
No. Yeah. Yeah. So just, yeah, so a little scary picture. So we can do all that work, okay, but for every 100 people that come to your landing page, so they've done more than just see your ad, they've done something, they land on your landing page, some of them will give you information, but that doesn't mean that they will all buy from you, okay? So we still have to be okay with that, all right? And that's why we need lots of people to see our stuff, because ultimately, yeah, 2% of the market is actually wanting to buy something at any point in time.
It's something that just happens in the background without you putting any, once you've set it up and you've got it all organised, you just keep putting it out there, like every now and then you'll go somewhere else and generate people to get to it. But once you've set it up, it's just something that happens in the background. People are just going to find it whenever while you're sleeping. And getting people that are buying the product.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. It can be not quite a set and forget, because you don't want to forget. And particularly if you've got a special offer on it that you don't want to keep offering, then don't forget about them. We've had, someone put out a big campaign and then it was, in their mind, it was over, but they didn't actually shut it down. So anyone who still had that link could get to it and could, access it. It's not likely unless they've saved it, but often I'll do that. I'll see a post on Facebook and I'll save it. And then I'll go back to it later, and usually the link is then broken, but if it's not, you expect it's okay. So just be careful. You just close the page. Just take the page down. All right, so landing pages and buyer persona. So it's really important, and we talk about this a lot, is to understand who are we talking to, okay? Who is the customer that we're actually addressing at this point? If we're thinking about that person, in this case, we'll talk about this girl here, what problem does she face in, not her job as in her employment, but her job as in what she's trying to achieve, what she's trying to do. So what problem is she facing? What common questions does she have about your industry? So it may not be exactly the product that you're thinking about, but in your industry in general, okay? Who does she report to in her company? And that's still, sometimes it is business, but sometimes it's family. So she might be the one who wants something, but she might actually have to check in with someone else might pay for it, someone else might make the decision. It may not be all to do with her. She might not be the one who does the research and makes the decision and pays for the product, okay? So who else is she reporting to? And that could be parents, it could be partner, it could be friend, sister, whatever, that's going to be part of that decision-making process. What does she do for fun as well? What does she like? And we're often, when we're thinking about our customers, sometimes we only think about them really directly in relation to what we are providing for them. But if we can think a little bit more outside of the square, it helps us to attract people who are our customer, but maybe not in the most direct way. And particularly because we know that buying decision process can take some time, a long time sometimes. If we can get in front of them by offering them something that is attractive to them or fun or interesting or whatever, then they might see us when they're not looking. And the stats sort of show us that it's around 6 to 7 touch points before someone will actually look to engage with you. So the more you can sort of put into places where people almost accidentally see things, then the more likely they are to go, oh, I've seen that before. Now I'm interested, or now I'm looking. I'll actually look at you rather than someone else that I've never seen or heard of before. How much budget does she have? So, or how much control over that budget does she have? So often when we're putting things out there, there's often a focus on price. We see a lot of things that are price driven, 50% off, 10% off, whatever it is, half price, something like that. if this person doesn't actually have control of that budget, often that's not the role that they're playing in this buying process. So they may just be gathering information, and you have to convince them that what you're offering has value, that it's going to provide an actual solution to what they're looking for, and the price may be secondary to that. However, it could still be important. But knowing whether the person that you're advertising to is that, what we call an economic buyer, is important, because it will influence how much you need to make money part of the conversation on your landing page. If all her job is to find information, then don't worry about the price. But if you fully expect that actually, no, she's the one who has to fit within this little budget box that she's got, then that could be the selling point that attracts her to you, okay? But you need to know that, that's all. So it's not to say one way is right or wrong. You just need to know and start to understand that about your customer. So the other thing then is, when you're creating your content for your landing page, you have to make sure it's going to tick all of the boxes that the customer is expecting when it comes to then getting them to make a decision to convert to that next stage. So if she was looking to get married, that might be enough of an attraction for her to go, oh, that's really lovely. What are we looking at? Are we looking at the flowers? We're looking at the dress? We're looking at the hair? We're looking at the makeup? It could be any or all of those things. But if you're getting married, they're all going to come into play. But if what you're wanting to do is sell her to the next step of whatever you provide, then it's not just the image that's going to attract. You've got to also think about those other things we're talking about. Is she wanting a checklist, or is she wanting an ebook, or is she wanting a video, or is she wanting a music sample or something like that, based on what you've made that, let's call it Facebook ad or blog post or whatever it was in the first instance that has landed her on your page. So making sure the content is really well designed to maximize that conversion, that it's going to really provide value for her in what she's looking for, based on what you've said is going to be available from that first place coming to that landing page. Okay, because again, if we said awesome music for a wedding, and then you click on that and you come to a page and it's actually all about, I don't know, dresses and something else, and it's nothing to do with music for a wedding, then it's likely you should just leave. Okay, where if it's clearly about music for a wedding, but it's also maybe got a little, like the image or something like that there, and if it was music, maybe she'd be dancing rather than standing there. But then the person will go, oh, that's what I want, I'll fill in the form, I'll get that information, that playlist, whatever it might be. Okay, all right. So content is really important. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. The number of landing pages. Now, this little stat is sometimes a bit scary when you are managing your own website. And depending on how big your business is, this may or may not be feasible for you. But the suggestion and the statistics tell us that the more landing pages you offer, the more exponentially leads you will get. So if you only have 1 or 2 landing pages, they're directing your customers to those about maybe 1 or 2 pain points that customer has. On the terms of wedding, if you've got a bridal site and you had an ad out about music and you had an ad out about flowers, and people were landing on those pages, you're not going to attract a lot of people. But if you've got a page about dresses and a page about flowers and a page about cakes and a page about venues and a page about music and a page about catering and all of that sort of stuff, as different landing pages from different other content that you've got out there, then you're much more likely to see that rise in leads, because people will find you in multiple places. So they might have clicked on the link about the dress and not made a decision, but then later on they're looking for something about music and they see something about music and they click on that and it's like, oh, that's the same people. Oh, they're providing me with lots of information. I'll fill that in. And now I'm probably a hotter lead because you've given me more of what I'm looking for in relation to the topic that I've got.
Can I ask a dumb question?
No dumb questions, but a good question.
I'm actually very new to doing all this. not you using it, but you doing it.
Mhm.
So when you say have multiple landing pages, if you've got the wedding thing and you've broken up into, I don't know, 4 tabs up the top, you can have more landing pages. Is that what you're saying underneath that? So it's not how many tabs you have up the top, or is it the same thing?
So different to the tabs up the top. So the tabs up the top will be pages on your website. Now you may use the page as a landing page. That is an option. But if, let's say you've written a blog article about choosing the right wedding dress, okay, and that blog post is on your website, you may then have pages about all the wedding dresses that you sell, or the, suppliers that you have, or whatever you do, or the dresses you've designed. And that could be a page about wedding dresses, or multiple pages even. So you've got a blog post about choosing the right wedding dress. Then you've got pages about the dresses, let's say, that you make and sell. But if someone finds that blog post, let's say on Facebook, and they've clicked on it, they've read the blog, how do you get them from that post to buying a dress? If they've come to a post that's about, how do you decide on the right dress, you might then have something in between, so a checklist or a video or even an ebook, something like that, that when they've read that blog, they then go, oh, I want that information, so I'm going to give you my details to get that information. And then ideally they would read that, interact with it. But part of what we'll talk about then is a thank you page to say, thank you for engaging with us. Here's the information. Now, if you want to look at the beautiful dresses that we've designed, click here and it'll take you to the page where you could buy a dress. So it's building that rapport, really, by providing some form of soft touch interaction with them before you're actually trying to sell them something.
But not all those pages need to be visible.
No, that middle page is pretty much not. So your landing page is generally not visible on your website, like it's not in the menu. So the blog would be a post under the blog section, and it may or may not even be on your site. It could be on another platform like Tumblr or Medium or something like that, where people who don't even know you exist find it. But if you have got a blog on your website, you might be pumping it out into different social medias like Instagram or Facebook or something like that, and that's where people see it. They click on it to come to the blog, they read that, but then they want a next step before they actually make a decision to buy from you, and that's what this one is for. So it's another page that they go to, but yeah, you wouldn't normally find it on someone's website unless you clicked on a link for more, to engage in that.
Am I correct in thinking that you don't actually have to have a website to do landing pages?
Correct, yeah. So Mailchimp, for example, is a platform that you can use to have a page. So you create an advertisement, it might go out on Instagram, they click on the Instagram, it takes them to the landing page. The landing page might be for an ebook. Download the ebook, or Mailchimp has the ebook stored in it and it sends it out and it puts that person's contact details into your list on Mailchimp. So no, you don't have to have a website. It still does the same job.
So all those pop-ups that happen when you land on a website then aren't landing pages as such?
No, they're usually, well, I wouldn't call them landing pages. So the little light boxes that pop up to say, put your details in to download this ebook, put your details in to join our mailing list, something like that, are generally from something like Mailchimp. But it's, it's a pop-up window as opposed to a landing page. People...
Capture details is more easy.
Yeah, so it kind of does the same job, but normally people will see a pop-up window when they don't want to, and they get annoyed about that. Where if you've seen something, yeah, that's it. Where a landing page is an intentional page. Someone has done something to go there to find more information, and then they're making a decision whether they want to give you what you want to access what they want. Yeah, so it's a nice page to get to because it's informative, it's what we want, especially if you make it really specific. So if your blog post said, how to choose the right wedding dress, 10 tips, and it's like, oh, download this checklist to, when you go to the bridal store, here's a checklist, and you want to download that checklist. Well, now I've got to give you my email address so you can email me that checklist so I can download it. and now you've got my details. But I'm okay with that because I read about something, I was interested, I filled in the form, I'm happy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so sometimes second or third. Yeah. So the more landing pages, the more likely you are to get more conversion on your leads, okay? So, yeah, just says companies see a 55% increase in leads from their increasing the number of landing pages from 10 to 15. Okay, so 15 apparently is the magic number, but yeah, that's a lot of landing pages. So if you're early in business, start with one and then go from there. All right, so how do you build a landing page that works? Having an infrastructure to your landing page process. So your lead or your call to action, and when I say lead there, I'm not talking about the person that we're trying to get as a lead, but your lead out. So this might be your blog post, your Facebook ad, your Facebook post even, doesn't have to be a paid advertisement. The thing you're putting out needs to have a call to action on it to get someone to do something to get to your landing page. Okay, so you need that out there first. It could be a little video, it could be an offer, whatever it might be. But whatever you're telling them in that little, let's call it ad for want of a better word, in that little ad, make sure it aligns with what your landing page is. Okay, really, really important. But it has to have a call to action on it. Now, Facebook make it super simple because they say, learn more, click here, you know, book now, download, you know, they've got the little button there and you choose what you want it to say. All right, that is the call to action. If you're putting it out on something else though, particularly if you're writing a blog post and you're putting that out on another platform, so Medium, Tumblr, any of those, even just on Facebook yourself, then you have to make sure that you put in a call to action. Okay, when someone reads that first little bit or watches that first little bit, especially if you're doing a video, you have to tell them what to do to get to the landing page as such. Don't use those words, but tell them what to do to get what they want and make it as easy and visible and simple as possible. Okay, click here to do this. All right, that's what we want. Don't give them a long URL to type in or anything like that. Make it a link, really obvious, nice button, something like that. Then we want to make a compelling offer. We want to have that conversion process and we want to have a thank you page. So we're just going to go through these. I'm going to go through them fairly quickly because I'm just conscious of the time. So call to action, okay? If you want to download an introductory guide to how to use Twitter for business, download the ebook now, big blue button, press on the button, it takes you to a landing page. That would be what you might see in an advertisement. It could even be if you're putting something out, your AdWords, so your ad might appear on someone else's website, something like that, it would have that button in it to do something. Really important. When you land on, when your customer comes and lands on your landing page, this is the landing page, okay? It's an example of a very simple one. Again, all by HubSpot, a clear, concise and compelling headline. So in this case, free ebook, okay? Learning SEO from the experts, take advantage of search engine optimization for your business. Pretty self-explanatory, okay? Free ebook. You also have to explain the value and importance of your offer to your customer, making sure that it resonates for the person that you're talking to, as though you were sitting there talking to them in a store and you can see them, okay? Design, how do you word that? So make sure the wording is right. Not too many words either. Sometimes you see them and they're really, really long and it's like, oh, who has the time to read that? Make sure that there is value, okay, in what you've written as part of that offer and value in the offer itself. So the wording, using a bit of bold, okay, or a slightly different font can make certain words stand out as well. So don't be afraid to do that. Some people put multiple colors. Yeah, it's okay, it's up to you. I find one color but bold usually works well. But if you've got something bold in a different color, that can make it really pop out just a few words. I wouldn't do this paragraph, this color, and that paragraph, another color. I just, yeah, no. But that's me. Using bullet points makes it easy to digest. So we don't like to read a big block of text, okay? Dot points, bullet points are really good. It says, after reading this 61-page ebook on Facebook, you'll be able to create a personal profile, build an online community, promote content, generate new donors, and measure your Facebook marketing success. So yes, it's a 61-page ebook, but here's the summary, okay? A few little dot points. That's what you would get if you wanted to know how to use Facebook for not-for-profits. Select the appropriate number of form fields for your offer. So in your form, again, what do you really need to know? Don't ask them for anything you don't need to know yet in order to fulfill what you're offering. So if you are offering someone an ebook to download, then you're going to need their email address so you can send them a link or the book, one or the other, to access. But you probably don't need to know other things. If you want to ask a question though, like this one is saying biggest marketing challenge, you can put that in there. You might get a bit of insight from your customer, so you could ask them a question. But you'll notice here that this one doesn't have a little asterisk on it. It's not a required field. So if somebody doesn't want to answer it, they don't have to. But the essential things have an asterisk on it. Okay, and then they have to fill it in, okay? So otherwise they can't get what they want. Removing navigation and all links. Now, it says that, I'm going to contradict it in a minute, but often if you've got your website page, it's going to have links, it's going to have a menu, other things at the top of the page, okay, where they can find, other pages on your site. On your landing page, you don't really want them getting distracted. You want them to fill in the form. You want their details. You don't want them browsing around too much. So on that landing page, we don't want any other links or anything like that, except social media, and I'll come back to that. That's different, okay? You don't want a link to, like if it's about the wedding dresses, for example, you don't want to say, download the checklist for going to the bridal store and click here to see our wedding dresses, because what are they going to do? They're going to click to see the wedding dresses. They're not going to fill in the form to get the checklist. They're going to go over here and get distracted and lost, and you haven't gained their information. So really the only button that's going to take them outside of this page is the submit button after they've filled in their details. A relevant image is also really helpful. We like pictures, okay? We really, really do. We like pictures a lot. So the more you can see something, the better. An ebook, give it a cover, okay? You can create a cover for an ebook in Canva. It's not hard. I know it's not a real book. It's just an electronic book, but give it a cover, make it look pretty, and someone's more likely to download it, okay? Or if it's an actual thing, a picture, like if you're sending a sample, show a picture of the sample. But adding social media share icons is important. We're a very social bunch, us humans. We like to share things with our friends. We also like to remind ourselves sometimes as well. So having your social media icons along the bottom there and allow people to share before they get distracted. Okay, if they want to do it, it doesn't take them off of your page. That's the important thing. Any of those little buttons opens like a little pop-up, but doesn't replace the landing page. Okay, so
is that sort of thing hard to set up? Or
no, very easy. Yeah, very easy to set up.
Are you planning any of these for like even more basic than this one?
Yeah, like how to build it, like a demonstration. Yeah, we could probably do that.
That would be great.
Yeah, sure. Social media, have it there so people can share it because we want to tell our friends, I found this and I know that you need it as well. I want to share it, okay? Particularly travel. Anyone share with me travel stuff? That's always okay. Consider though, adding a brief video to replace all of that text. Now, when I say replace all that text, I actually hate video myself. So I would much prefer to see the video and the text, and I've got the choice, okay? I can watch it and listen to it if I'm at home and I don't mind having the sound on. But if I'm sitting at my desk when I'm meant to be working and I have something play, no, I don't like that. So I would like to be able to read. So I suggest having both, okay? Or having subtitles, captions on your video. Yeah, so one or the other. But if you replace that all with a little video, videos are super easy nowadays to record. Please don't be afraid of putting yourself on video. It does not kill you, okay? It's quite okay. And there's lots of editing software that can help you edit it, tweak things, add your logo, all that sort of stuff. So don't be afraid of it. It will take a little bit to practice to get used to, but just like driving a car, you had to practice. Editing a video, you have to practice, okay? It's just a thing.
And we do a session of that as well.
Yeah, yes, we can.
That's a side question. When you see something that not often, that's how I watch videos, because I've got
on silent.
People around.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Is that something that just automatically happens on a video, or the person that's made that video has actually had to do that?
So there's a couple of different ways. So yes, they have to have done something. There are captioning options. So Facebook even has a captioning option. If you do a Facebook Live video, or you can have it captioned. It may or may not be correct.
Audio to text.
Yeah, well, having said that, what we heard, and I don't know for sure, but when Facebook first started piloting that, it actually wasn't audio to text. Someone actually sat there and listened and transcribed it and did it, and they did it really fast. So yeah, that was how it was done. But I believe now it is audio to text. But they're pretty good if you don't have an accent, you know, you're not using complicated words, all of that sort of stuff. But if you're talking about like one of the ladies does work with people who talk about, you know, a particular type of music, and they use lots of really complex words and like Latin words and things like that. No chance. Like, it's never going to get them right. So be considerate of that.
Names and products, bringing names and people's names.
Yeah, you can caption it yourself. Yeah, and we'll run a session. Use Windows Movie Maker. It's free. We have run a lunch and learn on that before, so we can look to do another one. Testimonials, if they're relevant, can help as well. So if someone has, like, if you've written an ebook and you've given it to somebody who's recognised and they've written you a little testimonial or something, you can add that there. Okay, don't make them too long. Photos of who said it can be really beneficial as well, because if we just say, you know, such and such from somewhere said it, and it's maybe first name only, and it's kind of like, really, did you write that yourself? Like,
read from Toowoomba.
Yeah, that's it. But this guy, you know, his name, he's the author of another book, you know, it's got his photo there, he's recognised and let's assume reputable. It's worth having. Okay, don't clutter it up with 50 like testimonials though. Okay, 1 or 2 is probably enough. And then if you have, like, if it's relevant, if you've had awards or some sort of recognition, you can add that in there as well. So, you know, this is a Forbes have ranked at, you know, number 17, or someone's put it most promising, such and such was, you know, Entrepreneur of the Year in your company. If you've got an award or recognition that makes it relevant and adds a little bit to the credibility, then by all means add that in if it's appropriate. Okay. All right, the last part there is a thank you page. So it's another page. After someone has filled in their details and clicked submit, you want them to see something nice and pretty that says thank you in some way, shape or form. If it's an automatic download, then have the link to download. If it's coming to them via email, make sure it tells them. Check your email, check your spam. If you don't get it in 3 days or however long is appropriate, you know, contact us via this email, that sort of thing. So you want that there, but then a little bit more of what do you want? What else do you want right now? Like, what else are you interested in? So yes, that's coming to you. Maybe you can download it, but do you want to go and look at those dresses? You know, here's a link, and you might have an image or something like that that attracts them to now go browse your website, okay? And a link out to your website of, again, a relevant page on your website, but where they can start looking around and seeing all the other stuff that you do, okay? Or it could just be, you know, if you know that person maybe came to you via your blog, okay, so maybe they've already been on your website, they wanted the special offer, they've come to your landing page, they've given you the information, you know that's where they've come from, so you don't necessarily want to send them back to your website. You might want them to like you on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, something like that. That could be what your next call to action is, okay, is that. So if it's most appropriate for you to send them back where they came from, that's fine. But if it's not, try and get them to explore you in a slightly different way by giving them that option and making it really simple and also attractive. I think images here are another good thing, particularly if you've got product or even a service that can have a clear image. But say, you know, have that next page. Don't just leave them hanging, okay? They want something extra. Alrighty, so we want to go from our advertisement to our landing page to our thank you page. Okay, that's pretty much what we want to do. So, takeaways and resources. Oh, and that's gone out of alignment, but sorry about that. So 98% of website visitors never return to your site after their first visit. That's a stat. I I believe that's probably true because I know how many websites I visit that I never go back to, okay? So about 2% of people will actually stick around and come back. So landing pages act as machines to gather information about your visitors. So your marketing activities can bring them back to your website, okay? It's not enough to let someone give you their email address and you give them the ebook or the checklist and then you never contact them again. They've given you their information, use it, okay? Add them to your mailing list, send them a special offer, send them a thing 3 days later to say, how did you enjoy the book? Send them a thing a week later to say, how was your visit to your first bridal store? You know, whatever it was, okay, whatever you were sending. You want to keep in contact with them. You want to try and actually engage them in a conversation wherever possible. If you felt it was necessary to collect their telephone number, call them, okay? Don't just ask for their phone number and not call them, all right? Or at least text them. So remember though that all leads are not created equal, okay? Not everybody wants what you're selling. Not everyone wants it from you. That's okay. Successful landing pages start with understanding the buying process and the buyer, okay? Who that buyer is and what they're looking for. And you could have the same product. Like I could have this phone, all right? And I might have 10 different buying personas and 10 different like key types of people who are going to buy this product. They may even be for similar solutions to similar problems that they have, but I might have 10 different landing pages for this same phone, but the advertisements or the articles that I write are targeted at those 10 different customer personas, okay? They may all lead to one landing page if that's appropriate, but probably not. So they would each go to their own, or maybe a couple of them might go to the same ones, but they'd each go to their own where, you know, if I put an advertisement on Facebook for, you know, men aged 40, it might bring them to a landing page about the phone, and it might have, you know, a picture of a car and, I don't know, a holiday or something like that on it. Where if I've targeted it at women who are, you know, 25 and it was in a magazine, like an online magazine about babies, then I'm probably going to have babies and, you know, maybe a house or something like that as the image on the phone, if that makes sense. So where if I bring like 45-year-old men to a page that's got babies on it, they're probably going, why? Like, so just make sure you target that. So you can have multiple landing pages for the same product. Think about the audience of who's coming to it.
And how can you establish where that came from?
Yep, so through your analytics, but also the fact that you're controlling where they're coming from. By putting the content out there in the first instance and a link on that content, and that link will direct them to the landing page you want them to land on.
Yes, but if you gather the information, how will you know later on that it is?
So if you put, let's say, 10 ads out and they all have the same link to the same landing page, your analytics of your landing page would tell you where they came from. Yeah, and you can put tracking pixels on those as well.
So can you do all that through Mailchimp? Is that how you do it, or is it somewhere else?
So Mailchimp would, yeah, you can see a certain amount. I've not used the landing pages in Mailchimp myself, so I haven't really analysed how much you can see, but they do offer a fair amount of data. So I'd expect that you'd be able to see. So we have Google Analytics on our website, and it just tracks everything. Tracking pixels, yeah, so Facebook have pixels. So if you are putting an advertisement on Facebook, you can put a pixel on it and it will track through to your website and then what they do. So it'll track, did they get to your landing page? Did they get to your thank you page? And then you can see how many got to there and how many got to here. But you don't know who they are necessarily at that landing page point. But by the time they get to your thank you page, you've got their details in your database now. But yeah, the ones who didn't get there. So if you're doing remarketing, so if you're going to be advertising back to people who got to this point but didn't get to that point, then you can set that up. There's a few different platforms, but even through Mailchimp, you can set that up that if they get to here and not to here, then we want to advertise back to them. So landing page is only as successful as the offer, the infrastructure and the framework. So make sure that what you're offering is of value. Okay, that it works. Okay, when someone fills in the form, they get the email or they get the book to download or whatever. Make sure, like, test it thoroughly, that it works and that it does flow. Okay, so the ad links to the landing page, links to the thank you page, and whatever links you've got on your thank you page link out to your website or your social media, whatever you're doing. So make sure it flows all the way through. But your conversion rates provide that insight into the success of your landing page. But again, don't expect that 100% of people who land on your landing page are going to give you their details, all right? If 5 out of 100 are doing it, that's pretty good, okay? Obviously, if you can improve that, and depends on the type of audience you have, maybe you can. But if you're getting 5, be okay with that, all right? If you're getting 1, see if you can improve it. Step it up from there, review your content. Do you need to maybe do one with a video instead of a still image? Those sorts of things. So you've got lots of different options you can test. So the guys from HubSpot provide lots of information, so ebooks and blog posts and things of different things you can do to optimize your landing page for conversion, your social media share icons and setting up thank you pages, what you can and should ask for on your landing page. So what, the form content, first name, last name, email address, that sort of stuff, and then a few little makeovers of landing pages. So I can share these with you that you can have a look, but if you just go to HubSpot and Google landing pages HubSpot, there's heaps. I'm sure there's stacks of other content. I know that the content these guys put out are usually pretty good, reliable, and you don't have to use their products though, okay? Just be really clear about that. You don't have to use HubSpot products. You can use whatever you like, okay? They just provide a lot of really good content that you can then take and apply to your own situation. So that is all we had there. So guys online, I can't actually see you because I minimized you. If you've got any questions, if you just want to ask them in the chat. Anyone here have any other questions?
When your offer or promo or whatever expires, is it better to put a little page saying it has expired, or to just have it go to your website?
Just, so I would...
frustration factor, I suppose, is...
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends. I'd only have it expire if it was an offer that you really wanted for a limited period of time. And I would be clear in everywhere I put that this is valid until such and such a date or something like that. So if anyone actually reads it, which we know we don't really read things, but if they read it, they can see it. And at least then if it doesn't work, they can go, oh, it's expired. And they kind of move on. As opposed to going, oh, this link is broken, so
Yes.
yeah.
So I've got a question.
Yeah.
Once you've got the person's details and you've got that link, what is a reasonable thing to do afterwards? Now, I've been to many landing pages and put my details in because I wanted whatever it was they were gifting out, and they just get bombarded with emails of whatever every day or twice. Yeah. So what is reasonable to do with those leads? Yeah,
it depends on your audience and what you've offered and what you've said you will do. So if, for example, you have an offer of an ebook, and the ebook might be, how to design the best wedding. Okay, that's the ebook. And then as part of that on your thank you page, you might say, and we will send you, guides. Like there's an option to send guides on, or catalogs or something like that to florists or caterers. And that if you've told them that you're going to do that, then there's an expectation that you're going to do it. They still have the option to unsubscribe from your list if they no longer want to get it. But if you know that the person you're dealing with is likely to want more information in a relatively short period of time, then send it. But if you're kind of thinking, well, actually probably once a month a newsletter is enough, then just go with that. If you have a special offer maybe come up mid-month and you send an extra campaign like type newsletter to say special offer on end of financial year or something like that, that's fine. But yeah, if you're getting has anyone ever bought anything from Kogan? I reckon 20 emails a day. Like they're ridiculous. They're crazy. It's so annoying.
Really have time to write something.
Yeah, well, yeah. But so it's too many.
Is to put in the thank you page
what your intentions are with, with
Yeah.
their details. So yes, I'll send you my monthly newsletter so that they know what they've got coming, and if they go, oh, well, I want this ebook, but I don't want what they're going to give me later, I'll get these, and then I'll go unsubscribe.
Yeah.
So you can tell them even if you don't want that list, you can just go in.
Yeah.
I
So
see it on the landing page actually, where it's saying, don't worry, we will not bombard.
yes. Yeah.
We'll just keep you up to date 3 or 4 times a year. You think, cool, it's safe.
That's right. Yeah. So being upfront about it, but then following through on whatever you've said is the important thing. So, for example, if you've never used Mailchimp before and you subscribe to Mailchimp, you have the option for them to send you guides on how to best use Mailchimp, and they'll send you like 1 a day for the first week. And initially you might go, oh, they're sending it again. And it's like, yeah, but if you actually did what they said, your campaigns would be so much better. You don't have to read it straight away, and it is only for a week. And they've told you, we'll send you 5 helpful hint things over the next week. But if they kept doing that all the time, then everyone would get really tired of it. So I imagine they have a few people unsubscribe from them in the first 5 days. But also having levels of notification. So sometimes when you unsubscribe from something, it'll pop up a little box and say, what are you actually wanting to unsubscribe? Do you want to unsubscribe totally, or just from our updates, or just from our product information, or just from this? And you can have those. And if you're using something like Mailchimp, you can do that because you can categorize your customers into what they want to know about. And then you're only sending communications to the people who have not said they don't want to know, if that makes sense, as opposed to saying they do. But yeah, if they said, I don't want to know about that anymore, you stop sending that. I think, yeah, we've got a question.
Can I bring my contacts from Wix over to Mailchimp?
Amanda, I haven't used Wix myself, so I'm not sure if anyone here is, but if you can export it to Excel or even a CSV file, so either of those, then you would be able to import that into Mailchimp. And I would expect that you would be able to download that list of contacts from Wix. If it's got a back end, it would have some sort of export feature. Hopefully that answers your question. No other questions online. So thank you guys for joining us online. I hope that was okay for you. Hopefully the sound and audio and video was all clear. I'll get some feedback from you on that later on. Thank you for joining us, and we'll hopefully see you next week, either in person or online.